is a good name for a shooter. That and Blood Guts 15, but I think that's already taken by The Sims. Blood is a game that does themes so very well. It is positively entrenched in it. In the macabre, the grotesque, the demonic, the vile. Taking inspiration from slasher movies, from horror movies, from pretty much any sort of fiction that involves monsters and demons, Blood really is severed head and shoulders above pretty much, well, all of the other Build games, I would say. And in the Doom clone family, it is a standout title that really does pretty much everything it can with its theme. This isn't a reskin of Duke Nukem. This isn't even a reskin of Shadow Warrior. This is a game that you cannot confuse with any of the other ones at all. For one, because the build engine has a couple of upgrades that allow it to have voxel objects in the world that you can look around, not just sprites that will always face the same way towards you. Also because it's full of dead bodies hanging on the floors, on the ceilings, on the walls, on the everything, and blood and guts, and it is quite graphic in its depiction of ridiculous, comical even levels of violence. Start off with a pitchfork and use it to just jab people, and occasionally somebody's head will come flying out of their, well, neck or shoulders, I guess, and you can just kick it around the level for fun, for macabre fun. I mean, why wouldn't you? You're not playing as a hero. You're not playing as somebody that's gonna save the world because well, Duke Nukem did it because he wanted to get laid, I think, and because the Elegance ruined his soap opera watching time, and the previous games in Lo Wang was doing it because, well, revenge, and also saving the world at the same time. But Caleb does it just because he got, well, he does it for revenge also. It's kind of a simple idea, but he's doing it for personal revenge, and the game sort of hints at giving you options over the course of some levels of saving some poor souls, and you can just shoot them in the face, especially the mimes. And why wouldn't you? Because Caleb is not a hero. He's a dead, well, undead gunslinger from the 1800s that used to be part of the Cabal. He used to be one of the chosen, one of the Dark God. But then the Dark God said, "You all suck, and now you must die." And he killed them all. But then Caleb, he comes back to life. He lives again, armed only with a pitchfork that they somehow... Well, why did they bury him with a pitchfork? Is the pitchfork... I haven't finished the game, by the way, so I think maybe the pitchfork is magic and brought him back to life. But he used it to start killing people, cultists and the undead that usually just pop back up again unless they get beheaded. Blood is an absolute blast. It uses all the mechanics that you know from Doom, from Duke Nukem. With, oh, there's a crack in the wall. Yeah, that must mean it's a secret, so I'm gonna have to blow up the wall. There's a secret over there, so then I can probably just jump my way up there somehow. It's using all the same recipes from the previous games, using all the same ideas, but it is doing it in a very consistent manner with its theme, that of horror, that of darkness consuming the land. With very creative levels that are, well, quite varied. They take place on boats, on trains, on waters, in an amusement park, and the music, oh god, I was not expecting the music to be this good. Yeah, Grab Bag's a great song and it makes Duke Nukem 3D amazing, but there's a bunch of songs in this one that are just fantastic. Probably the most fantastic thing of all in the game are the weapons. Unlike most games from previous titles, all of these, well, most of these have a secondary fire mode. Now, Duke Nukem 3D did have some weapons with an alternate fire mode, and Shadow Warrior did have settings for some weapons, like the rocket launcher could fire homing stuff, nuke or direct missile, or you could change the ammo count on the riot gun. But here, it's more of a Unreal Tournament kind of situation, or Unreal kind of situation, a year before Unreal actually. You have a primary fire and an alternate fire for pretty much all the weapons. And they're quite unique. Yeah, you do have a shotgun, you have a machine gun, but with that machine gun, with that Tommy gun, you can sweep. You can do a Chicago, what's it called, when they kill everybody, with like a sweeping motion of the Tommy gun. It's got a name, Chicago something, because you know it's from the old saying, Chicago, come for the food, stay because you got murdered. You've got like 3 variants of detonating dynamite at a distance. You've got a lighter and some perfume or hairspray or something, and you can use it to just set things on fire which is it's a useful weapon because you will often run into enemies that are not really worth the ammo for most weapons, like rats, like bats. You can just set them on fire with that. Also puncture it and set it on fire and then it'll explode big time. You've got an electric Tesla plasma thing that can liquefy people. You've got a voodoo doll that you can just break it and people will start screaming, and also it sort of takes a bit of your life away. You've got that big giant skull thing that will just blow up everything in sight. And of course, your grenade / rocket launcher type of affair, but it's all done in a very, very consistent way with its theme, and none of the weapons feel like they're from some other game. Oh yeah, you can also dual wield them if you find the temporary sadly power-up that lets you dual wield the same weapon twice. I kind of regret now that I didn't play Blood earlier in my more impressionable days when I probably should have been playing a game so violent, so vile, filled with so much gore, but it is simply enjoyable. And I kind of feel that the level design is in some places maybe a bit tighter than what I used to see in the olden days of older games, because I remember in some of the older games, I used to get lost in Duke Nukem 3D, sometimes in Shadow Warrior 2. But here, it's a lot more straightforward. I wouldn't say it's linear. It still has the backtracking exploration. There's a secret around every corner. You have to find it in order to survive because the game's not going to be all that forthcoming with ammo and stuff. But it feels a bit less scattered, a bit more focused, a bit more... Honestly, some levels remind me of the way that Dark Souls is built. The third one, I mean. Can't remember the rest of them. In the sense that you will quite often find doors that are locked, which you can unlock by going a different way, finding a bunch of enemies, going down some shaft, down some corridors, up some elevator, then turning a crank, and behold, the door that used to be locked is now open and you are walking through it. So it's sort of... it loops back into itself. The levels loop back onto themselves because you quite often have to go find keys that will let you access portions of the level that are closer to where you started from, but it doesn't really make you backtrack and go back the exact same way. It's like they're built a bit to not waste your time, unless you walk through that really, really long tunnel that's in that one level and get hit by a train, because well, I guess it's a funny thing to do to people. You know, in most of these shows, I tend to complain about stuff that's kind of in these old games, especially in these ones in the shooters. I mean, I complain that Heretic pretty much was just a simple reskin of Doom with the same weapons, kind of the same enemy types. Shadow Warrior wasn't really doing its best to sell it on its theme. That Alien Trilogy was, well, it was probably great on PlayStation. But Blood is actually bloody brilliant. I mean it. Yeah, it's got the same problems from a technical point of view that pretty much all games made in that era had. You know, like looking up and down being a pain in the ass because it twists the perspective so badly since it's not really a 3D game, it just pretends it is. Well, it's more 3D than Doom was, to be sure. But apart from that, it's still a solid game. It's a spectacle of carnage where things burn, explode, scream. Oh, so much screaming. There's a jukebox that you can activate that has more screaming on it if the screaming of the enemies wasn't enough. And it's got great sound design. The music, the weapons, the screaming, again, the sound effects in general for each level. They're great. It's a game that I very much encourage anybody to play. And you can because it's available on GOG for the price of around €5. It's a testament to just how good a game can still be if it's made by people that are on the top of their game, which in this case was Monolith that just bought the Q studio that was developing Blood when the acquisition was made. I know it had a sequel to I actually played Blood 2 The Chosen before Blood 1. It sort of got stuck at some point because the version I had was and I can't really say that I remember much of it apart from it getting stuck. This one, however, oh boy, it is probably not something children should play, but you know they're gonna. At least they'll have a quality game that is very, very gory, ludicrously gory. And yet, because that's the theme, that's the idea of it, it doesn't seem out of place. At least not when you play it. Maybe when you view somebody else playing it, it may seem out of place. That happened to me when seeing somebody play Bioshock Infinite and realizing, my god, this game is a lot more graphic than I remembered it was when I played it last week. But hey, it's from the 90s, who cares? The sad part is that the source code of the game is not yet public because it's apparently it's owned by Atari, and you know how great of a company that is nowadays. Because if the source code was out there, this thing could be remade. It could be re-envisioned in a more stable engine, though maybe there is a re-implementation of it out there somewhere, a remake. It just screams for it, because mechanically, thematically, in pretty much every aspect apart from the technical one, it is a modern game. It is still fully playable today, and they just slapped on some physics to it that were a bit more, more of a today's affair rather than what they had back then. With graphics, they're a bit more polished, maybe. Better support for mice. This could still be a rocking game. This could curb stomp Shadow Warriors reboot. This could be the next thing. But again, I think the game may be owned by Atari, though the IP and trademark are apparently the property of Warner Bros. Now, so it's one of those games stuck in a limbo, like No One Lives Forever, like pretty much anything that Monolith ever made, which probably won't see the light of day ever, because why would they? It's not like we deserve nice things. Or maybe we do. We'll see. Goodbye.